Hello everyone and welcome to tonight's episode of Fortnightly Frontier, where we discuss the what's happenings and goings on in the development of Star Citizen and Squadron 42. I am your host Darjanator and I am joined as always by my good friend Myre over there, and this time around we also have this guy.
Hello.
Hi.
Texas Skulls.
What's going on, guys? Yes.
That's
Not
him.
from Texas.
Yes, he's from Texas and he has skulls. You have plural? Yeah, I just have one. Why do you have more?
I've collected them.
Hmm.
They're actually cattle skulls. Deer, cattle, etc.
Ah, yes. Okay. Well, everybody needs a hobby.
We actually had an interview with Texas on the Fortnightly Frontier where he answers that exact question. So yeah.
I just wonder how long is it going to take you to actually remember what the name of the damn show is.
The Frontier feature. That's the one. The Fortnightly Frontier feature, you see.
Hey, I stumbled across that one for a while. I was like, wait, we're on Fortnightly Frontier feature? I'm just confused.
Yeah. Well, well, this time around, it's not going to be about that. So it is just going to be like normal bullshitting that we do on the podcast. So chat and whoever's watching, you don't have to suffer through all of that again. You're safe.
Oh my god, a rerun?
I feel like I can be good at this, at normal bullshitting. I think that's kind of usually what I do all the time anyways. It's just normal bullshitting. Let's begin.
Let us begin. I have no idea. I think clap. No, just normal derp clap.
Can't be left out, can I?
Come on. Join the party, Myre. Join. Yeah.
The golf clap. So anyway, about this show that we do. Lately we've kind of changed from the sort of really odd and how should I put this? It's not something I wanted to do, this format where we just run through all the news of what happened in the past 2 weeks, but we have like an overarching theme and then we just try to talk and weave the latest news on development into it. And this topic for this episode is colonization. Ooh, just hands.
I can do that too.
Yes.
Hey.
Yeah, apparently it's a white thing only.
Oh wow. Again, next time on Fortnightly Frontier, Myre and Darjanator duel in real life.
But yeah, what do you guys think of the potential for colonization in a MMO as vast as Star Citizen? And I don't mean like on the background side where it's, NPC corporations that, with mega budgets that go to a planet and terraform it and develop colonies, but more like in the old Wild West where it was just, a pioneer that hitched up his constellation to a pair of horses and then went on into the unknown.
His constellation to a pair of horses. Okay.
A pair of space horses. You forgot to mention space horses.
Yes, space.
Normal horses can't survive in space, but space horses, well, those things can go, Anyway.
Yeah. Do you think that 2 space horses is better than 1 space whale?
Well, I mean, space whales are quite ornery. You can't just strap them onto a constellation.
That's true, yeah.
Without serious trouble. I mean, yeah.
Well, can you even break a space whale?
I mean,
but once you're hooked up, one shot with the lasers, and that thing's going, dude. Like, you've got some speed behind you.
Oh yeah, the laser lash,
Exactly. That's what the guns in the front of the constellation are actually meant for.
Ah, yes. People always forget, it's a long lost trick, really. At this point,
it is.
It's not for shooting pirates.
No. For ranching and wrangling. Yeah.
But actually, that's what the tractor beam is for as well. That's how you actually latch on. Is by the tractor.
Right, of course.
You also milk the space whales with a tractor beam.
Oh, please no! Let's not. I already know where you're going with this, and nope, not today.
Not today.
I'm gonna need more beer than this.
So I think to answer your question though, Darj, I think you might need to elaborate just a little bit.
Well,
yeah.
Okay, so let me just finish pouring this deliciousness into my mug. Well, there are going to be modular little outposts that will be able to, well, in the first releases, encounter procedurally generated on planets that we'll have access to, but the promise has always been, well, not always been, the promise ever since the project has reached such vast scope as it has, that players will be able to build their own outposts out both in space and on planets. So, for instance, like in Subnautica, and this is just about the only game that currently pops into my head. Once you gather the resources and you have the blueprints, you have this sort of handheld 3D printer tool thingy that just builds rooms and corridors and windows and doors and stuff like that. So would you be interested in that sort of level of complexity and micromanagement when it comes to that sort of thing?
I think I'll let Tex answer that question first.
Sure.
It's a long question.
At the end of the day, to say, to ask if I'm interested or not, yes, absolutely. To me, having sort of a piece of ownership or a feeling of ownership over something, that this is mine and I created this or I built it, is really, is really awesome. And kind of living out the Firefly-esque dream, right, of all the different colonies and those, outer planets or systems or whatever, and just kind of making your own way, I think is a pretty entertaining and interesting idea and notion. I still think though that let's break it down. And at the end of the day, Chris Roberts has said, I believe several times, that he wants players to be able to own something in the world, right? And I think that was always mentioned planet side, and stations is the one that we're kind of unsure of, like in space. But planet side, he wants us to be able to do that. Then it's just a matter of kind of breaking that down and what does that actually mean? What can we actually do? If a world isn't terraformed, right, can we terraform it? Or, if it's already terraformed, what do we build? Is it just the modular bases, or can we actually build something, a little less modular and more unique? So it's, it's an interesting question, but does it interest and excite me? Absolutely.
I think it'd be an interesting concept, to say the least. I mean, we've seen the modular, space. What was that? What's the name of that video called for CitizenCon? It was called the Frontier
Homestead.
Homestead,
yeah.
Yeah, so we've seen the Homestead demo, and we've seen the bases that they've made for the Homestead demo. And last fortnight, I think we saw in ATV, they were making bases on planets. Like they were showing how modular they could be and that kind of thing. I think as a player, it'd be interesting if you could grab one of those pods or whatever and then take it to a planet and then drop it there, and then you can do in Helion almost, but do it on the moon or something and make your own base. I think the concept of bases is something that's really cool. As far as colonization is concerned, well, I suppose if you had a large group of people or an organization or something, maybe you can
that squadron that's 10,000 strong. Well, Colin Field is about 5,000 strong, basically.
Yeah, you could probably concert those efforts and get them all to get to one planet, and then with the whole way subsumption is meant to work, and the NPCs are going to have their own kind of day and night cycles and thought processes and decision processes. I think it'd be interesting, to say the least. I'm not sure how they would do it. I think, so one thing that I think has been brought up, in our chat as well, is just the concept of real estate and stuff. So not necessarily colonization, but if you've ever seen games like sandbox games that are just about coming out, like Albion Online, where you have these main cities, like ArcCorp, but then you have these plots, and players and guilds can actually own those plots and stuff like that. I think that'd be an interesting way to go about the whole owning property thing as well.
I think the problem with that is that it really tends to favor the large organizations, right? And the little man doesn't really have his opportunity when it's set places that you actually take over, which, I mean, I still love and I like, but I think having maybe that with a combination of sort of a freeform real estate deal, where the planets are so big, right? And there's so many of them that, dude, you're not going to run out of space. Where your everyday average Joe Star Citizen can, build his little colony, build his little base, and not have concern.
I mean, I don't see why there's any reason why we can't have both in a way, because we'll have things like ArcCorp where, you know, people will always be going to ArcCorp because NPCs own ArcCorp. It's a giant planet that's completely built the entire world over by buildings. And you can go to Area 18 and it'd be cool if an org could own, like, let's say a plot or a shop in Area 18 and do business through there, because players will go through there and give them business. But at the same time,
That would be awesome.
Yeah, but at the same time, there are moons just above and that kind of stuff. Why not? Why can't other players put their bases there? It's less safe. But I'd like to see both.
I think it's a good balance that would really help the game.
And especially, you know, if you get a huge organization together and they, over, you know, a time of months, go from like a single homestead on a moon to like having like a big town hall and a spaceport and living buildings for the people, just making their own sort of almost like completely player driven little port.
Yeah.
You know, to contrast all the NPC driven ports.
I mean, just
that would be an interesting prospect.
Yeah, but to me, just given the scope of everything, I can see, you know, like the really basic kind of bases being put together by orgs, and you can have like giant box cities. But I can't see that being transformed into, say, Area 18 in terms of aesthetics and just usability and stuff. Also, the whole fact that like you'd have all these bases together is a massive target for other people, because there's no way you can make a place like that an armistice zone, because they're phasing those out anyway. So to me, it's kind of like it'd be cool to have your small bases that nobody knows about. You can keep stuff there. You can have your flotillas. But if you wanted to have that whole kind of like, you know, booming business kind of feel, you should be able to rent a plot in ArcCorp, for instance, or like, you know, build up towards it and have that as end game,
or just
almost.
You know, employ an NPC workforce that will work for you, and then you have your own police and by NPCs. It would be interesting if they actually give us the tools to not just have, you know, just have like a city that's basically just a sea of identical homesteads, but have different functions. So they have like a shop, or you know, like a spaceport, just a landing site for that, and the logistics of it are daunting slightly.
Yeah, I mean, hey, maybe as an organization you can build, you know, some sort of Area 18, ArcCorp, whatever, like, you know, kind of base
on a smaller scale,
establish a trade hub, much smaller scale, but and kind of establish it as a trade hub. But I think at the end of the day, you know, players need to be motivated by something, right? Obviously, there's going to be plenty else to kind of be motivated by, you know, within the universe. But I think one of the biggest motivators in a game, and one of the biggest reasons to actually take action and do something, is when you have ownership over something, and that something can be taken away. And I think that really motivates a sort of warlike environment where you have maybe these, you know, two organizations that are battling over this piece of property. And I think that creates really neat dynamic content. I mean, again, just like EVE Online. Now, don't follow the, you know, perhaps logistical process of that, where, you know, you have to like do all this stupid things with like Entosis and this and that. But at the end of the day, you've got some of the greatest player-driven content in a video game ever. EVE Online, where you've got thousands of players battling over something, and that all boils down to ownership, because one person had ownership over something and another person wanted to take that away.
I mean, I can see that happening as well with Star Citizen, because like not all planets are going to be equal. You're going to have some planets that are going to have like, you know, resources that others won't have, and so you'll be able to build your org shanties here or there or whatever. But depending on where you build them will depend on, like, you know, if another org wants it. And even if you have an entire planet, no two orgs are going to want to share that land together in a whole universe full of planets, especially if that one planet or belt or whatever has a lot of resources. So I feel like if we get to the point where with colonization you'll be able to make your own bases, you will see inevitably, even if they have to do a couple jumps, people will come and find you and destroy you so that they have a better hold on the verse.
Even resources aside, players just like taking shit from other people.
Oh, yeah.
They just
Oh,
like
yeah.
breaking other people's shit. And so
Well-
even if you've got a base and there are no resources, there is literally no gain from this. Players will come and they will try and take your shit.
That's
Now
seen
you're
in
tr-
the
now
chat.
you're getting me all bummed out about my idea of owning a sandwich shop on some godforsaken planet that's using only the local fauna for the meat.
Well, you can do that, and then you can hire me to protect it. I will offer my services at 10,000 UEC per day.
I will nuke that sandwich shop from orbit.
I will defend against that, and I will
Well,
fight
I
you,
was toying with the idea of having the sandwiches roasted, but not to that degree.
I mean, like the whole thing about
nuclear
like
sandwiches.
the whole thing about like living off the land and stuff like that. I think that's kind of where ships like the Endeavor come in. Because end of the day, I feel like moving flotillas or like or especially for organizations, mobile bases are going to always trump the bases that are going to be on planets or asteroid belts. Because planets and asteroid belts, they're static. Sure, they're going to be on a rotation. You might be able to have to find the planet, then find the base. You have to know the coordinates. But a flotilla is currently on the move, and so
I guess
things,
I can.
yeah.
Sorry, good.
I was gonna say, like, so for instance, the Misk Endeavor has a biodome, and when that comes out, you'll be able to grow all your resources there and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but
I think-
we have seen from Mass Effect what happens when a group of people is just locked into a spacefaring flotilla. I mean, do all of us want to become Quarians?
Yo, don't knock the core. Don't knock it, man. Yeah.
I can only speak from personal experience, and I can say that I think a lot of people also like the notion of having sort of a home. That there's kind of some unrest in a mobile flotilla as your home base versus actually having a base on a planet that is always in the same spot that you can call home. And I think a lot of people kind of get behind that too, in that they like a home. I think it's two different lifestyles, and it's a decision that players and organizations will have to make. Are we sort of more nomadic, moving, from system to system with our flotilla, or do we actually establish roots somewhere? And I think they're both very interesting paths of gameplay.
Totally. You can call me Myre Nima Vas Test.
Oh,
yeah,
what are we drinking, Myre?
do that. Yeah, you do that.
I found a can of Stella. Kind of disappointed by it, but that's what I'm drinking.
Well, yeah, Stella is. The middle name is Disappointment.
Oh man.
And now we'll never ever get sponsored by Stella, thanks to.
I wouldn't want to be.
Oh, man.
I'd rather be sponsored by Witchwood Brewery, the makers of the finest ales.
Do you hear
I
that?
actually had a couple people. I had a couple people convinced on Friday night that I was actually sponsored for one night only by Newegg to give away 4 Mega PC Project Mega laptops or whatever. Their April Fool's joke, and a couple people were actually convinced of this. They cost $30,000 a piece on their website, and they're like, "How can you give away 120,000?" I was like, "Newegg sponsored me for the night."
Wow. For the night.
Is that one of those 9-screen
Yeah, it was.
things?
It was.
Yeah. Chris Roberts actually ordered one, according to his Twitter.
Yes, he did. Yes, it actually runs Star Citizen at 32 FPS, which is amazing.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
but it's on all 9 screens, though, so...
You don't even need track IR anymore, right? It's just
Yeah, but you do need unlocked field of view, so...
yeah.
Otherwise, on such a huge screen, he's going to have... Next subject.
Yeah.
We're talking about colonization at current gripes we have with the damn game.
Oh man.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what do you think, Darj? I mean, you asked the question, but what do you think?
I think, well, there is a lot of possibility for griefing, and there's a lot of possibility that, that if you do chance upon a town built entirely by players, every building is going to look like a penis.
A penis made of like those gray boxes?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
takes
so
some effort.
you have one hydroponics bay here, and you have one hydroponics bay here, and you have like an antenna in the middle. So yeah.
So basically a Misk Endeavor. Anyway.
Yeah, no, I think that I think
like
it'll be
this.
locked in their sort of testing algorithm that if it resembles the shape of a penis, you can't build the last pieces. It will disallow it.
Or
It's
it becomes a
circumcised.
nuke and just destroys their entire city.
Yeah.
I mean, in terms
Well,
of...
you were
sorry.
asking me, by the way.
Yeah.
so-
I thought you finished.
Nah, man. I'm totally agree with Texas. That I actually wanna take a middle road. Like, I'm gonna spend a lot of the game in Macarrick. So it's gonna be journeying, doing the whole Star Trek thing, going where no man has gone before, hopefully. But would be nice to have, like a small little shanty town somewhere on a planet that's hopefully very tropical in nature, where I could just land and put my feet up and, just figure out how the hell am I gonna, finance this mission, because if you're not doing any of the predetermined missions, good luck earning money in the game.
Yeah. Yeah, to me, I want to, establish some means of gaining wealth, and that is solely to fund PvP. That is it. But
Yes, you have mentioned that. Yeah,
as in
Or like
finding
Texas.
colonies. Yeah, as in finding Myre's colony and then nuking it from space. Yes.
Well, in Fallout 4, you had the base, the sanctuary, and then you had you could establish other towns, and then you could establish trade routes between, and you basically could make that an infinite source of income and resources. So you could basically just, once in a while go back to Sanctuary and, be surprised by like a pile of money and all the stuff that you needed. Maybe, there is possibility for that in Star Citizen. You make a shop in this little town of yours, hire an NPC to do all the menial labor for you, and you just go out gallivanting across the galaxy. And every, few weeks you come back and, just collect all the profits.
Or find that it's been destroyed.
Or that, yeah.
Or
yeah,
taken over and claimed, I mean, like, I like the idea of, hey, okay, you guys, I own you. You do my stuff. I come back and you give me the profits. But at the same time, what's to stop somebody else coming there and taking it from you, right? So, that's an interesting thing, What in terms of NPCs though, I mean, like if you look at the star map, you have all these planets that say unclaimed or like that kind of thing, and that's meant to be a dynamic thing and a dynamic process. And I think that there will be larger scale missions that you'll have to do in the verse, and by doing them or not doing them, or by enough players doing them or failing them, that'll change how those planets evolve and develop. If there's a planet or a system that's linked to both Banu and humans, and you fail all the human missions or no one cares, then the Banu might be able to take that land instead, and that kind of thing. Or if the humans do, then they'll probably take over some planets, and that will develop over time. Who knows?
I think it also kind of plays into, if you ever think about expansion of the universe, right? If they decide to start adding more systems, years down the line or whatever it may be, I think that opens up a really interesting storyline as well, where the entire system can be uncharted, unclaimed, right? And then it's kind of up to you to discover those planets, and then maybe
Did this show
take over.
in ATV, like, was it previous week or 2 weeks ago, the Soled? I mean, that tool, Soled, Solar Editor, Solar System Editor, looks like a very powerful system for just very quickly adding new solar systems. I mean, okay, you use that to just establish like a star and the planets and asteroid belts and stuff like that. So that can be done in a matter of minutes. But then, it would only take you like maybe a day or two just to finish off everything. And then you have an unclaimed system that's just there for the taking, just a new one. So you're not limited to the 100 or so systems that are coming out.
At the same time, though, Darj, it's that whole fallacy with Elite Dangerous and being so big, but at the same time, there's so little to do. You don't want to be a mile wide and an inch deep. I think, as you described it before, adding places for the sake of there being places will only just not splinter the community, but just dilute it so that there are less people doing things and more NPCs doing stuff.
Yeah, well, it should be supply and demand driven. Like if there is a demand for new undiscovered worlds, I think that is like a good incentive for them to add new solar systems. But until they run out of those that are already planned out, no, there's no reason for it to do.
Do you think they'll run out of land? I mean, you know, on the topic.
I don't think so. To be quite honest,
probably not.
The planets are
massive,
ridiculously it's pretty crazy. And when I say the introduction to new systems, I didn't ever mean like a model like Elite Dangerous, where 1 million new systems procedurally generated. I just meant maybe one new system opens up or two or whatever, just a suit needs.
Yeah.
And I've never bought into that idea. Like to me, that's never been a great point of advertising. We've got almost unlimited systems. Okay, great. So in other words, you've got almost zero player interaction then, right? Like, no, I want it to be finite, 100%, because that's where the true dynamic content comes
Exactly.
That's fun.
like the Firefly universe. I have a map over there on the wall. Has 3 stars. It's a trinary system, and it's got like 21 planets, and that's it.
Right.
For the entire human race. So it could work if you make. Well, this is like the topic from the previous episode we were talking about, sense of scale.
Yeah.
Like if you can make the scale small enough in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter if you have a single planet. There's 7 billion people of us on a single planet, and there's still places on it that are undiscovered. We're still able to go and find uncorrupted virgin nature. So and the planets, like for instance in the Homestem demo, I asked Tony Zurvik after the demo, and he said that he didn't know exactly, but the planet in the demo was either 4,000 or 7,000 kilometers in diameter.
Right.
Yeah, Earth, for instance, is either 13 or 17 or 14, one of those 3. But it's still a planet-sized planet. It's not. They were talking they were going to scale it down, but it's still a planet-sized planet.
Yeah.
I think they should scale it down slightly. I don't think it should be even an Earth-sized planet. But at the end of the day, even at 50% scale, right? That's massive. And then that's just one. And we've got mini systems of multiple planets, right? So there's a lot of space.
Yeah, well, if you're only counting the unclaimed systems, that's still going to be masses of unexplored and unclaimed land for everybody to get lost in.
Yeah.
I think so.
I mean, like, remember, we're talking about a space game where we are actually going to planets, like planets, as you said. There are games like World of Warcraft that have, at its peak, had over 14 million people playing that game. I mean, sure, on different servers.
Not at the same time. Or was it at the same time?
Not at the same, well, at its peak, yeah. But on different servers, I suppose.
Okay,
I mean,
okay.
But with Star Citizen, I think, we'll still have servers. I mean, like shards or like instances, won't we? So, I don't think that's really something to worry about. You could probably fit the past, present, and future player base of World of Warcraft onto Yella and still have space to spare. I mean, like,
yeah.
Well, but then again, the worlds in World of Warcraft were handcrafted to be very dense in regards to variety.
But with Star Citizen, isn't that the case as well? I suppose with at least the lore behind the planets and what you're trying to find there on them and stuff like that, Like on the star map, almost every single planet has at least some description, if not 2 or 3 sentences, actually, it features what to find on them and that kind of stuff as well, even the uninhabited ones. So I think we'll be good for that. I think
so.
I hope.
Yeah.
I hope.
Oh, then
So,
again,
yeah.
what sort of effort do you think we should get into? Because you have Earth-like planets that are, just perfect for colonization. Just land, get out, and you could pull up a deck chair and you're done. But you have, in Star Trek, those would be called M-class planets.
Right.
But then you have, other designations that are less hospitable or less perfect for human life. So those planets don't really seem that attractive for mass colonization.
It depends. Well, not mass colonization,
No,
but
but,
it depends on the resources. Have you played Osiris, or have you seen Osiris?
Yeah, well, but they go there for different reasons. You establish a base just to mine the planet out instead of developing a home there.
If it's a home, like you're saying, like a home base where you could RP, I don't think we'll ever get that in Star Citizen. Personally, I think that all that kind of stuff will be around the hand-tailored cities and stuff that they're making. You'll be able to make bases to keep and stash loot and be like, yeah, fiddly dee, this is my place. Leave it be. But that's all it's gonna be. I did.
You're gonna name your Tortuga, aren't you?
Yes.
Har. Fiddly dee.
Is your in-game name Captain Jack Sparrow?
Captain Myre.
If not, you should change it. Well, you should make an alt, Captain Jack Sparrow.
But I don't feel like we'll get to where you want with that, just because of how the assets that they've shown us at the moment work. I mean,
at the moment, yeah.
I think that they could do it. There'd have to be a lot of feature creep to do it, though. I mean, like we'll be moved from a game all about like spaceship flying and FPS and stuff like that to actually laying down roads and like saying you'll be my wife and making like little Banu babies and stuff. I think,
making little Banu babies. Okay.
Well,
I'm a humanist. I don't think it's the right word, but I do not mix with aliens.
See.
So you don't feel you'll be following in the footsteps of such greats as Captain James T. Kirk and Commander William T. Riker when it comes to bedding alien chicks?
No. If your skin is green and you have a tail, that's probably weird.
But that's my fetish, though.
If you have a tail, this relationship is gonna fail. Anyway.
Yes, and he rhymes. This is amazing again.
There you go. I suppose that's your new motto then.
Yes. Well, the girl from the first new Star Trek, she was green, right? That he was.
Yes, she was. She was a Now I've got goddamn Bano on my mind. She's on Bano.
Actually, I'm a Vandal sympathizer. At the end of the day,
you're not gonna cross the
Vandal. I think that they've been oppressed. And Orion,
yes, she was an Orion slave girl.
All right. Okay.
Yes, and that is a race, a long-established race going back to the original series. So,
okay, fair enough. Well, human girls for me. Thank you.
Human girls, yeah. Well, I can expect that. Yeah, sure. But what if you get you find out that these alien chicks have like 2 vaginas and they cannot possibly be impregnated by human males. So.
Well, I have one dick.
Get a friend.
So get a friend.
What difference does the 2 vaginas make? Just get a friend.
It's just a possibility.
And we've been clipped.
Yeah. And this conversation is going to be saved for all eternity on the YouTube archives.
Yes, it will.
I should not be drinking while we do these.
We've probably been listed as a mature channel now, actually, on YouTube.
If not, I'll be changing that as soon as possible, just so we don't get any trouble.
Oh no, it's anyway, you have to do. It's something YouTube does for revenue.
Okay. Okay.
Should we just simply change the show's topic to human and alien sexuality in Star Citizen?
I think maybe we'll get you back on the next episode, but yeah.
The real question, I feel, is do Banu lay eggs? They've been stepping around that subject for a long time. So, no, do Xi'an lay eggs even? I mean, can I have a Xi'an omelet, I mean, like... That's...
That sounds delicious.
I do not think that would help human-John relations if you were
But can you imagine what's so... Yeah, but can you imagine just sort of storyline possibilities that would open if there were actually human poachers that would be just in the business of getting Xi'an eggs?
Hey man, it's an interesting trade. We'll see.
But
We
you know,
will
because
see.
is it Xi'an or is it the Banu that condone slavery?
The Banu do.
The Banu.
Yeah.
Okay. So okay. Never mind.
Yeah, next thing
Never
you know,
mind.
there's a large war. So
So
I will
how
say
about them
though,
omelets?
kind of touching, and maybe to bring us back on something that you said just a second ago, talking about your colonization and your Wild West feel, right?
Yeah.
And something that we talked about before the show with terraforming, because that's kind of a big thing, right? Like,
Yeah.
if you're not terraformed, you're
Which
lost to these
kind of
hubs.
it kind of
Yeah.
links to my previous question that was kind of rudely cut short. Is like, what sort of planet are you going?
The omelet wars are not rude, okay?
This is
like,
real
what-
stuff we're talking about.
Yeah, sure. What sort of where do you draw the line between a planet that is suitable for colonization, or is it just for resource exploitation? And are these planets worth terraforming, or would it be easier just to find a planet that's closer to Earth than it was? Or is. Why did they go all Firefly on that? But yeah, okay, you know what I mean. Yeah. So like if you find a planet that's maybe has 1 or 2% more CO2 than you're used to, so short for breath, maybe you would want to terraform it. But
All right.
as
Tex,
you were
wanna take
saying,
this one?
Texas, yeah, you were saying before I so rudely interrupted.
What was I saying?
I
I
mean,
I was trying to get us away from talking about alien sex. That is all. That was my intention there.
in terms of that, Darj, I feel like with the way players work and stuff like that, resources will always come first to making bases and stuff like that, and terraforming. If we ever get terraforming, I can see, like, let's say there might be like these light expansions and that kind of thing, where a planet that's been, unclaimed or contested becomes human or Banu or something, and then once the NPCs or you've done enough quest lines done there, you'd get the whole broken moon scenario happening, and they start terraforming the land. I can see all that happening. I can't see players deciding, we want to terraform this planet. I don't think that's gonna happen, Like, we could say, what if it happens and how would it work? Sure, but I don't think it's going to happen. Just because it gives players too much agency, the whole 1 to 10 ratio thing won't work out, because players play the actors, they play the fighters and all that kind of stuff, and the traders.
Yeah,
they
not
play
the dungeon
builders.
masters.
Yes. In fact, Dungeon Master is going to be an actual CIG employee role, and they're going to be the ones like pulling the strings and stuff if players
Or
do
game master, not
get too
dungeon
strong.
master. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what's I guess what you have to consider is, what does terraforming actually give you, right? So, I mean, I think we probably all agree that if terraforming was placed in the player's hands ever, that it's going to be a very resource intensive, maybe time intensive process, right? But what benefits does that give you? I mean, is the actual planet now locked to you and you're the only person that can build on that? Because that makes no sense, right?
Right.
And that
I
there's, like, these
think it
artificial
would be
requirements.
only that you don't have to walk around in a spacesuit.
Which means that everyone benefits from that, right? Anyone, even if they're not associated with the actual terraformers, right? So then how do you even get
Then it
players
should
to
be
wanna
done
do
as
it?
a background process, by like this
Yeah.
mega corporation that's all solely run by the NPCs.
So one reason
Yeah.
why I don't think
Wayland Tutani, maybe.
One reason why I don't think we'll get terraforming is, have you seen Broken Moon? Have you seen how
Yes.
they terraform planets? What's to stop an organization weaponizing that shit, Getting one of those terraforming lasers, taking it to like another organization's base, and then going, we're gonna terraform that base right there with a giant laser.
Or y'all sandwich shop, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh
like,
this
no,
is what I
my
meant, when
sandwiches!
nuke from
My
above.
my sandwiches!
yeah,
I would use my
heavily toasted
terraforming laser
sandwiches.
on your sandwich shop. I'm sorry, I apologize. You know what? No, I'm gonna be
Toasted
your
sandwiches.
first customer at this sandwich shop. I
Yeah.
will come and I will buy a sandwich. I'll take one bite and be like, God, this is horrible, and then I'll never.
And
come
then
back.
you're gonna nuke it from orbit.
I'll leave a horrible rating on Space Yelp. No, that was kind of my point though.
But I was gonna have like 1,001 different sauces that you could choose from.
Well, you're already killing your margins there. Like you want to limit your set of food, right? That's how you become profitable as a restaurant. You can't have this like crazy ass menu. You got to limit it.
Okay.
Here's what you're successful at. You know. Come on.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I'm just taking notes, man. I'm just taking notes.
Yeah, of course. For me, with lots of years of restaurant experience, I have none. I think that's the idea, though. That's kind of my point. Is that terraforming? I think has to be a behind-the-scenes action taking place by these NPC corporations, i.e., Star Citizen, sort of guiding the hand.
Yeah.
But I think it's very important, though, that you have these terraformed planets, and then in some form or fashion, behind the lore, the corporation that terraformed it decided to give up the planet and sort of, just remove itself from that planet. Maybe they ran out of money or for whatever reason, because then that opens up the true Wild West sort of colonization where you just have players migrating here to a livable planet, but it's not controlled by some mega corporation. And so now you can have these, sort of small Wild West colonies take it over and create a life out of nothing on the planet. And I think that's the real interesting gameplay aspect to me. But I don't think players can do the terraforming. I don't think there's any good way of doing it.
I can see there being these frontier colonies in the game already preset for you to go visit and stuff and help out. I don't feel like you'll be able to make your own. You might be able to help them. You might even be able to make your own colonies next to them or say, okay, well, we claim this. Our organization is strong enough to say these NPCs and the quests they do are now ours. I don't think that you'd be able to make your own.
But what is define a colony though, right? Like what is a colony besides maybe just a group of buildings together, right?
But the NPCs, I suppose, that feeling of dominance on top of, I guess, having the buildings. Yeah,
I mean, hey, certainly there's going to be a different level of fidelity. Yes, fidelity to an NPC colony that you can build around versus just a pure player created one. But I mean, I guess my definition of colony is pretty loose in that it's just a group of buildings.
Well, it needs to be somewhere where there is like at least not an abundance, but an availability of all the necessities that you need for living. Like you need clothing shops, and you need food stuff, like farms maybe. Or maybe just a huge spaceport where all of this is imported from other organizations maybe, or just NPCs that provide those services.
I almost feel like your concept of a colony, Darj, might be a little bit narrow in terms of, like, for you, a colony is on a planet that is terraformed and stuff like that. But why can't a colony be on a planet that has all the resources in the world apart from an oxygen-rich environment? And, like, so instead of having farms that you till, you have a couple of endeavors parked there and your NPCs are doing that thing. And, like, so it's a stationary, I mean, like, a stationary flotilla. You can still have your cubes and all that kind of stuff, and your pressurization chambers and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, it'll be static. Like you're not gonna move it around because and that way as well you can move. You can become a road. Well, again, I just like the idea of a flotilla, Darj, but it works in that sense because you'll be able to get NPCs in those ships working, doing their whole subsumption, like a night and day stuff. And at the same time, not have to worry about the fact that there isn't any terraforming in the game or whatever.
So it's kind of like Nyx, which started off as a mining colony, but then, they stopped mining and now it's just people living there. There's bars, there's shops. But if you want to step outside, you go through an airlock in a spacesuit.
Yeah. I feel personally, I mean, like, from your facial reaction, you're like, I don't want that. That's I'm not against it, but in my view of like I said before, that my life is going to be on a Carrack, but a home, I ideally would like it to be on a tropical island. Just saying.
With your Origin 890 just floating around doing, some casual booze cruises every now and then, right?
Yeah. I don't really like that ship. It's still going to be the Carrack.
What are you gonna fly after I blow up your Carrack though? then what?
Then I'm gonna send Myre after your ass to get my money back. So
full
I can
disclosure,
buy Carrack.
If you pay more, then I'll just shoot him. So,
Myre, I have one favor to ask of you.
What is that?
stand the test of time through Star Citizen. If you are ever attempted to be bribed to kill me, bring that bribe to me.
Okay.
And I'll double it.
Well,
Okay.
we'll have a deal. Could we shake? Oh, actually, no, my green screen doesn't go through anymore. But telekinetic
Yes.
handshake.
Yes. We have agreed to
Yes,
this.
indeed.
No sandwiches for you. No sandwiches for you.
Are you denying
Either
a
of
paying
you.
customer? Are you denying a paying customer?
Yes, I have the right to deny a paying customer.
Is it because I'm from Texas? Yes, it is. Damn it. The real question is, does Texas still exist on Terra?
Well, it's going to be on Earth.
Yeah, because there's an Earth and a Terra now. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
Terra is a much larger planet that's
I'm dumb.
that's an Earth-like. So
Fair
it could be like, at this point, I'm probably,
Texas?
Texas is going to be so Texans
New
are going to be so fed up. No, Texans are going to be so fed up with other Earthlings. They're just going to take the entire state of Texas, strap ships on it, and fly to Terra.
right. I mean, sorry. Yes, chat. Anyway.
Sorry. Coming back from that.
So I mean, on Earth, in game, there is a New York, a London, and a China, isn't there?
Actually, don't know. Is there?
I think so. I think you're right, because I think I've seen that before. I think you're right. I think Texas actually decided to just colonize a separate planet and become its own republic.
It's just become Texas, the Republic
Not
of
even part
Texas.
of the UAE.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
The planet that is Republic of Texas.
They just colonized
Yes,
the moon and
yes.
became Texas. Yeah.
It's gonna have more cows than people.
Goodbye, Luna. Hello, Texas. Yes. More cows than people. Wow. Wow. We have to have our space leather boots, of course. So, how else do we accomplish that?
The entire spacesuit out of finest cow leather.
Yes, of course, of course.
Yes.
Although I prefer
Indeed.
crocodile, actually.
Really?
I'm wearing
I find
boots.
I find it doesn't really offer the sort of mobility you would need in the joints.
Yeah, but it looks cooler.
Do they have
Yeah, that's
crocodiles in
true.
Texas?
That's true.
Is that an ignorant question?
Cow leather for the joints, crocodile leather for everything else.
Like rattlesnakes you have, I think. There's a snake in
Yeah,
my
we
boot.
definitely have snakes. Yes,
Yeah.
we have snakes. Yes.
Yeah. Like
that is-
everything I know of Texas, I know from Toy Story. So yeah, a bit limited.
Nice. It's lovely. Well, make no mistake, Dallas is not Texas. So whatever you see about Dallas, that's not
Okay,
Texas.
right.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
what is Dallas? Is it
A
just
city
on
that we
its own
disowned.
entity?
Yeah, we've disowned it. As
Yeah, right. So it's
my dog is on
well,
stream apparently.
yeah. Hello, dog. Oh,
How heavy's your dog?
It's
Oh, that's not a dog.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing
Crocodile.
Discord doesn't support smell-o-vision.
There's the croc boots.
That's cool.
Now I'm putting
Right.
these back on.
Did you take those to
Yeah.
CitizenCon?
Thank
I
you.
think you did, didn't you?
I think he did. Yeah. Well, he has many pairs of cowboy boots, doesn't he?
As a Texan, it is our responsibility to have at least 5 pairs of boots. Okay. Anyways, sorry, I've derailed us. My apologies.
Very much so. Yes. Where were we?
This happens often.
Derailed, or are we on the right track?
Does this happen with other people on this, or is this just me and I?
No, I was just
derail
gonna
it?
say you can't derail it if you're never on the right track. Anyway.
Fair enough. Speaking of trains, what about planetside trains that we can fly our Carrack or Constellation over?
And steal the
rob?
medicine that's meant for
Yes.
oh god, the names are. Why do you do this to me, beer? I'm supposed to be the Firefly Encyclopedia on 2 legs here.
I'm so sorry, Darj.
Paradiso.
You might have to
Yes.
do some editing,
yes,
Darj.
Yes.
I forgot to turn off alerts, and somebody subbed, and I was like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. And I can't tell them.
What's a sub? You mean like YouTube subscription?
No,
a submarine.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Somebody's submarine.
Submariner,
Yeah.
But actually, we're talking about sandwiches. It's like a long sandwich.
Yes. The foot-long sub.
Yes,
So-
yes.
Darjanator's own space subway.
Yeah, that's going to be the name of the shop. Yeah,
I
and
hope not, because I don't like Subway. Fuck. I just ruined your chance of getting sponsored by Subway. I'm so sorry.
Man, just say you hate everything.
just,
you know?
just if anybody from Subway is watching, this dude is not affiliated with us. So all the opinions about a specific sandwich shop are his own.
Although we do kind of make a sandwich, us three, you know, like a
Yes.
Texas sandwich, you know, just sandwiched. Anyway,
Moving on
Oh
again.
my god!
so we're meant to be
what has
talking about
this show devolved
colonization.
into?
We're meant to be talking about colonization on Star Citizen.
Yes, and we're
Yes.
talking about sandwiches.
I mean, to be fair, we're an hour and 14 minutes in, so you know.
But it is, hey, you know what? It's actually a very valid point, because being able to open up a shop or something as part of that whole colonization, I think is really cool and would be a really exciting piece of gameplay. You know, hey,
and
Darjanator opens a
as you
sandwich shop.
Yeah,
right?
and you just said like a bit of ownership, you know, is a great motivator. It doesn't have to be just, you know, a place where you go to sleep. You know, it's something that you've built with your own hands, and you know, can it make you money? Sure, you know. You know, do you sell sandwiches? Do you sell kebab? Do you sell gyros or, you know, falafel? You know, maybe it's going to be like a huge, you know, handheld food emporium.
I mean, stores and shops would be pretty cool, you know, like to specialize in a specific thing would be awesome, especially if you could get real estate in these cities and stuff where you know people are going to be going for those main storyline quests and stuff like that. In terms of actual professions and stuff, I just don't know how they're going to work in a game where there are no levels. In other games like MMOs that focus on this kind of stuff, you have levels, and so you know where you are at, you know what you can make and stuff like that. In Star Citizen, your level or how high you are in the game is all down to the assets that you own. So in that case, I think the players themselves won't ever be able to make stuff because of how they've described the system. However, it doesn't stop you from owning a shop and having an NPC or hiring an NPC who has those skills and then paying them the money they need to make the stuff and to cater to the players.
So I'll need to hire an NPC if I want to make a level 9 sandwich. Is that what you're saying?
Pretty much.
And can you rob these NPCs? Because I'm robbing your shop every day. Why did my cash drawer disappear again?
It just despawned. It's a bug. It's a bug.
Well,
So it's
hey,
like a level 9 sandwich is like a bread, and there's a piece of lettuce, and there's a bread, and there's a tomato, and there's a bread. It's
Nine
like
times.
a 9 level like sandwich is like this tall.
But I mean, if you think about it like this way, right? So if you're selling to an NPC shop or, you know, like a trade organization or something, you're probably selling at a more wholesale price, and then they're reselling to the public at a marked up price, right? So, you know, you kind of got your margins here. Well, what if you open your own shop? It's more work, more management, more risk, but instead of selling here, you can sell here. So players have a benefit of going there. And you also have a benefit of selling there because maybe you're getting more money, right?
But you see, with the relationship between NPCs and everything else on planets and zones, I feel like if you try and undercut an NPC so much that they don't sell a single thing, you're going to put them out of business. They'll disappear. They'll die. Like their shop will turn into like a slum or something.
Okay, but now we're getting to the entire thing where the whole. Okay, let's just keep it with sandwiches. The whole sandwich thing is like a job market.
Yeah.
And who the hell wants to come home from selling falafel on the street and sits down for like 1 hour or 2 of playing Star Citizen, and then he just wakes up in a sandwich shop? Like
You apparently.
I mean,
no.
to be quite honest, I spent hours upon hours doing stuff in Eve, and that wasn't even close to, you know, colonization. It was just sitting in markets and you know, building things and trading. And I think a lot of players are actually very motivated by economy like stuff like that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And trade. So I think a lot of players would.
Yeah.
Flying and shooting is not, you know, is not going to be the only thing that people do. And if I've learned anything from MMOs, there are people that may never even get in a ship if there are those things available to them.
Exactly. I mean, like, you know, an anecdote is if you've heard of Albion Online, which is basically grinding the game. I've spent like 6 hours yesterday, well, not yesterday, but like the day before or something, just sitting down, mining, doing nothing but mining, nothing else, just mining. You'd think that's the most boring thing in the world, but to me, I had like YouTube on, I had like Netflix there, I was just mining. Just mining.
Well, you say mining is the most boring thing in the world, but what is one of the most famous and most popular games ever? It's Minecraft.
But you don't just...
Half of it is mining. People will want to do... I think there is just something about the simple things.
Yeah.
Like taking it up on yourself to get the resources to do something instead of having to go through all the hoops of bureaucracy and economics and logistics to get materials.
There's something to be said about economics in video games, though. I mean, like people, you know, they work 9 to 5s or whatever, and then they're tired of that. They come home and then they do nothing but play Euro Truck Simulator or something. You know, they like work the game. You know, there's something to be said about that, and I don't think that this game is going to be any different. You're going to see people doing all sorts of things, and as Texas says, it's not going to be just boiled down to wanting to be on a spaceship. I was speaking to a guy who's like, I hate flying ships, but this game looks awesome. I want to be a bodyguard, you know? So definitely, you know, like there's a thing for everybody to do in this game.
It's having the ability to do all these different things.
Exactly.
At the end of the day, if you want to get into a ship and just go shoot things all the time, you're probably going to run out of money, but go for it, right? But, you know, I mean, unless, I guess you're doing missions or whatever.
Well,
but,
unless you can make it into a career, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's having the ability to do all of these different things that is really going to make a truly dynamic and very interesting game, I think.
Yeah.
And so this is a big part of it, the whole colonization and economy
Are
side
we,
of that.
though, trying to attribute a far greater scope to the game that is going to be delivered to us, or is even do they even have the possibility to be delivered? Because I've noticed that, you know, we do a lot of theory crafting and we just let our imaginations run wild just because of how intricate and groundbreaking Star Citizen is, that we think that now there is no reason for them not to do everything that we want.
Yeah. Again, scope creep, feature creep, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
They've gone ahead and they've spoken about stuff that they want to do that's different from their goal. This entire conversation, I feel, is a bit off kilter from their true goal or their established goal. What's to stop them from doing it later in the future? Nothing, I suppose, you know, if the building blocks are there in the first place. But
it'd be just interesting to figure out how they're going to incorporate it into the lore.
Exactly.
Like, why for the first 4 years you were not able to make your own colonies, and then 4 years into the game, all of a sudden, hey, everybody gets to make their own house on a planet.
Okay, all right. You mean once the game is out, 4 years after?
Yes,
that?
once the game is out,
Right.
4 years after that. Yeah.
They've established that they want us to own some form of property. To have something like that. I mean, that has been established at several points.
From the beginning, that was just the hangar with a room system. Yeah. But now it seems that it's going to be more. Yeah.
Exactly. And the modular bases and procedural planet or outposts and planets and everything like that, I think that's kind of, you know, been modified. But at the end of the day, once this game releases, that's version 1.0. And, you know, if you learn anything about not even just game development, but, you know, again, development period, right? You never stop. And you keep going. So,
especially with an MMO.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that the feature set that we have at release at 1.0 versus a 4.0, and I'm not talking about Alpha 1 versus 4.0, I'm talking about actual live game.
Yeah, gold.
It could look entirely different, right? And they've you know, assembled this massive, gigantic development company with almost 400 employees at this point.
Around 350 by now, I think. 320 definitely confirmed. Yeah.
They're going to be busy after the release of this game, you know, making new things, making new features, making new content. So I think that, you know, even if we don't have this sort of complexity at the start, at the release, I think that they're going to move to this complexity. They're going to think, what do we do next? And dude, if anything, if popular games out there have established anything, players like to build and own things. That's my opinion, that people like to build and own things. Minecraft, you just said it one of the most popular games ever, because you can build shit and it's
every server has like a hugely developed and intricate spawn city, as they're called. Yeah.
Yep.
You know, every player has his own little plot. They can make whatever they want, be a penis-shaped spaceport or a penis-shaped donut shop or a penis-shaped sandwich shop. You know, just I'm just saying everything's penis shopped in Minecraft.
I think my first building on stream on Minecraft was an accidental penis. Like
An accidental.
yeah. It was all like I did it all
Yes.
like I designed it by a mountain ground level. Then I climbed the mountain and looked down, and I was like, "The stream's over, guys." Oh man, but yeah, I can't wait to see what we get with that whole aspect. You know, I think it's a good conversation to talk about because it's not really something that's talked about much. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I suppose that wraps up what we had to say about possible colonization in Star Citizen, among other things, including sandwich shops and alien women. As you do,
I mean,
as you do,
no big
and
deal.
accidental penises.
We never get derailed here, you know.
Oh, of course not.
No. Like I said, you can't derail something that's not on track anyway. So
6 degrees of freedom in this podcast right here. There you go.
But anyway, this has been the Jesus Christ 11th episode of season 4 of Fortnightly Frontier. I have been your host, Darjanator. Over there on the other side has been Myre. Cheers. And sandwiched in between has been Texas Skulls for the second time running. Thank you so much for watching both on Twitch and YouTube. And we will see you in the verse.
You're meant to. There we go. Yeah.
Yeah. That
Oh,
one,
I'm
that
there.
one.
I'm there. I got my 2-finger salute. I don't even know what that is.
I would
So
love if a shortage of socks was all it needed to overturn the balance of power in the system because of like this snowball effect.
And when you do show stuff and you get feedback from people, the team vibes off of that, right? It lifts them up, it pumps them up, they get excited. We get that all the time.